अब है सामने इसे छू लो जरा मर जाऊं या जी लो जरा
bro like ਮੈਨੂੰ ਮਾੜਾ ਜਿਹਾ ਦੱਸੋ ਕਿ ਐਕਸਪੀਰੀਅੰਸ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਓਵਰਆਲ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਾਰੇਗਾਮਾਪਾ ਵਗੈਰਾ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਗਏ ਹੋ ਤੁਸੀਂ you were runner up and how was that experience ਕੋਈ ਡ੍ਰੀਮ ਕਲੈਬ ਹੈਗੀ ਫਿਰ ਵੀ ਮਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ
Right now, if you were to ask me, bro, probably Diljit Paji, man.
Diljit Paji.
Yeah.
So, Paji, ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਫੋਕਸ ਸਿੰਗਿੰਗ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਆ ਤੇ ਸਿੰਗਿੰਗ ਤਾਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਮਾਸ਼ਾਅੱਲਾ ਬਹੁਤ ਹੀ ਕਮਾਲ ਕਰਦੇ ਹੋ ਤੇ ਭਾਜੀ ਕੁੜੀਆਂ ਲਾਈਕ ਕਿੰਨੀਆਂ ਫੈਨ ਬੇਸ ਆ ਕੁੜੀਆਂ ਵਾਲਾ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ
ਮੈਂ ਕੀ ਕਹਾਂ
ਤੇ ਭਾਈ ਪਹਿਲੇ ਆਪਣਾ ਕਹਿ ਲਓ ਕਿ ਕੰਟੈਸਟੈਂਟ ਸੀਗੇ ਜਿਹਨੂੰ ਨਜ਼ਰਾਨਾ ਮਿਲਿਆ ਸੀ ਜਦੋਂ ਸਾਰੀ ਜਿਊਰੀ ਨੇ ਪੈਸੇ ਦਿੱਤੇ ਸੀਗੇ ਭਾਈ ਉਹ ਐਕਸਪੀਰੀਅੰਸ ਉਹ ਗਾਣਾ ਕਿਹੜਾ ਸੀ ਉਹਦੀ ਜਰਨੀ ਬਾਰੇ ਦੱਸੋ
Honestly, bro, love life right now is just music, bro. Love life right now is just sort of concentrated on that.
ਤੇ ਆਪਣਾ ਫੈਨ ਪੇਜ ਤੋਂ ਗੱਲ ਹੋਈ ਤੇ ਫਿਰ ਆਬਵੀਅਸਲੀ ਜੇ ਫੈਨ ਪੇਜ ਹੈਗਾ ਤਾਂ ਫੈਨਸ ਵੀ ਇੱਦਾਂ ਦੀਆਂ ਹੀ ਹੋਣਗੀਆਂ ਤੇ ਕੋਈ ਇੱਦਾਂ ਦਾ ਕ੍ਰੇਜ਼ੀ ਕੋਈ ਆਪਣਾ ਫੈਨ ਐਕਸਪੀਰੀਅੰਸ
Remember that song that came out by Mika Singh, Gandi Baat?
Yeah.
I don't know that song.
Ab karunga tere saath. He's like, Gandi Baat, Gandi Baat. So I was like, man, what if I did Sidhu Moosewala Dollar in a classical style? Blacklisted kaarane, ਅਸੀਂ ਪੁੱਤ ਹਾਂ ਡਾਕੂਆਂ ਦੇ
ਇੱਕ ਡੇਟ ਹੋਵੇ ਠੀਕ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਕੀ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਪਰਫੈਕਟ ਡੇਟ ਹੋਊਗੀ ਹੋਰ ਭਾਈ ਜਗਪ੍ਰੀਤ ਭਾਈ ਸੋ ਕੀ ਹਾਲ ਚਾਲ ਆ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ
ਬਸ ਬਹੁਤ ਵਧੀਆ ਭਾਜੀ ਬੜਾ ਚੰਗਾ ਲੱਗ ਰਿਹਾ ਯਾਰ ਨੀਰ ਕਾ ਕੇ ਲੌਂਗ ਆਈਲੈਂਡ ਇਟਸ ਆਲਵੇਜ਼ ਗ੍ਰੇਟ ਮੈਨ ਆਲਵੇਜ਼ ਗ੍ਰੇਟ ਟੂ ਬੀ ਹੇਅਰ ਥੈਂਕਸ ਫॉर ਹੈਵਿੰਗ ਮੀ ਔਨ ਗਾਇਸ
ਮੇਰਾ ਨਾ ਇਹ ਐਪੀਸੋਡ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਸੀਗਾ ਇਹ ਮੇਰਾ ਐਪੀਸੋਡ ਜਦੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਪੋਡਕਾਸਟ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਕੀਤਾ ਸੀ ਨਾ ਤੇ ਮੇਰਾ ਪਹਿਲਾ ਐਪੀਸੋਡ ਮੈਂ ਸੋਚਿਆ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਬਈ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਕਰਨਾ ਤਾਂ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਹਿ ਲਓ ਕਿ the first person that came up to my mind ਕਿ like ਆਹੋ like ਚਲੋ ਪੋਡਕਾਸਟ ਕੀਤਾ and we need somebody ਕਿ like ਜਿਹਨੂੰ ਕਰਕੇ like ਮੈਨੂੰ ਖੁਸ਼ੀ ਹੋਊਗੀ ਜਾਂ ਜਿਹਦਾ ਮੇਰਾ ਸੁਣਨ ਦਾ ਮਨ ਕਰੂਗਾ that was you and you know that because ਮੈਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਕਾਲ ਕੀਤੀ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਭਾਈ is it possible we can have you on
well I mean just to give everybody an introduction of me and Ashpaji Ashpreet we've known each other for what is it now 20 plus years
jad to paida hoya main
basically yeah so our families have known each other since their days in India and then obviously your family's still there but no definitely Baji bahut hi khushi hui yaar and I know we were talking about this doing something like this right so everything figured itself out
yep
so Paji ਮੈਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਮਿਲਿਆ ਮੈਨੂੰ I'm like obviously ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਗਾਣੇ ਸੁਣ ਕੇ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਫੈਨ ਹੈਗਾ ਸੀਗਾ but after meeting you to be honest like you're like such an amazing guy ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਬਹਿ ਕੇ ਵੀ like ਗੱਲਾਂ ਸੁਣ ਕੇ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਮਜ਼ਾ ਆ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਮੈਨੂੰ so
thank you
bro like ਮੈਨੂੰ ਮਾੜਾ ਜਿਹਾ ਦੱਸੋ ਕਿ ਐਕਸਪੀਰੀਅੰਸ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਓਵਰਆਲ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਾਰੇਗਾਮਾਪਾ ਵਗੈਰਾ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਗਏ ਹੋ ਤੁਸੀਂ you were runner up and how was that experience
I would say the experience was, very riveting. I would say that बहुत कुछ सीखने को मिला. बहुत लोग की respected जिन्हें भी कलाकार गायक हैगे ने या actors, all the respected actors to actresses that you get to meet. You get to learn so much from them. So I think overall the experience is really great. And, to be the first, Canadian NRI to reach to the top 3 is amazing and I'm so honored to have that support from everyone
ਤੇ ਭਾਜੀ ਉੱਥੋਂ ਦਾ ਐਕਸਪੀਰੀਅੰਸ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਹਿ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ ਕਿ ਅਮੇਜ਼ਿੰਗ ਸੀਗਾ ਬਟ ਇਜ਼ ਇਟ ਲਾਈਕ ਦ ਸੇਮ ਕਾਈਂਡ ਐਕਸਪੀਰੀਅੰਸ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਵਿਊਅਰਸ ਦੇਖਦੇ ਨੇ ਜਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਕੁਝ ਡਿਫਰੈਂਟ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਆ ਉੱਥੇ
it's really interesting that you asked that question because I feel like there's a lot to it many components or in that experience when I was on the show a lot of people they see like an hour of the show right 9 to 10 baje leke usually that's when the show would go on right you guys would see like a very very edited version of it
right
but jede episodes hunde sige each episode would take 12 hours to shoot and we would shoot 2 episodes a day
how many hours
12 hours
oh my god
ਭਾਈ ਘੰਟੇ ਦਾ ਜੇ ਐਪੀਸੋਡ ਕਰਨਾ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਤੇ 12 ਘੰਟੇ ਉੱਥੇ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਕੀ ਬਿਠਾ ਕੇ ਕਰੀ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਆ
ਐਕਚੁਅਲੀ ਪਤਾ ਕੀ ਆ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕੈਮਰਾ ਐਂਗਲਸ ਨੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਜਿਹੜੇ they would take a lot of breaks in between too right because the musicians and everyone would have to set up the scale, like kede ki te kisi ne gana, right? So they would always have that, and then on top of that, there would be like the judges, you know, or the mentors, or people would have to, you know, take bathroom breaks or whatever, right? So like, and sometimes the people who we'd have on as special guests or whatever, sometimes ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਥੋੜਾ ਜਿਹਾ time ਲੱਗ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਸੀ ਤਿਆਰ ਹੋਣ ਚ, and then making it to the studio and stuff too. So you know, it's crazy because we would be like, sometimes I would sing like at 4 a.m. the next day, right? So I'd sing like 1 p.m. that day and then 4 a.m. the next day, and like you would basically have to be on your game, and like we'd be sleeping half the time throughout our shoots, right? They'd be like, oh, you got to get up, you got to show that you're smiling and stuff, right? Like, shit, man. And so like, yeah, so you know, I was just like, through it all, like it was so cool because it kind of showed you that how the industry really works, and you know, there's not enough sleep that you get. Like you're always on the go, you're always doing something, and it just kind of prepares you for the long haul, right? So I enjoyed that part of it. There was this one time too, like there was this guy, a respected actor,
yeah, I want to know the name.
Yeah.
Naam ki siga bhai?
Oh man. Salman Khan sir was on there.
Okay.
And I met him. Just such a nice guy. Just and like when I tell this story, it's not even you know, anything against him.
Yeah.
But I just remember, like, you know, when he came to visit me on set, one of the things he asked me is like, did the channel tell you to be blind? Or like, you know,
you
like,
are actually
because these things happen actually. Yeah. Sometimes in different shows these things happen. And Saregama, right? It was very different because we didn't have that kind of thing. Like, it was very, you know, let's stick true to the character of the person, you know, and with us too, like, I love the way they portrayed me, right? You know, because a lot of the times, like, you'll go on these shows and you'll have like a lot of people that'll come up and they'll come up with these sob stories like, oh my god, hi, like bacha blind hai, right? Like, you know, stuff like that. And then with me, it was just like, oh, they're just showing me working out at the gym right back then, right? And then COVID happened. Right?
Yes.
So, yeah,
ਮੈਂ ਆਪਣਾ ਵਿਊਅਰਸ ਵਗੈਰਾ ਨੂੰ ਦੱਸਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦਾ, ਭਾਈ ਨੇ ਆਪਣੀ ਬਲਾਈਂਡ ਵਾਲੀ ਗੱਲ ਕੀਤੀ ਸੀਗੀ ਤੇ ਭਾਈ, do you want to talk about that stuff?
Yeah, of course, bro. I mean,
ਜਿਹੜੇ viewers ਨੂੰ ਮਤਲਬ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਹਿ ਲੋ ਕਿ ਪਤਾ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ?
Yeah, no, of course. I mean, for me, like, blindness has always just been a part of me because I you know, I was blind since I was a young age, right? So actually, when I was 6 months old, I was only like, you know, a baby back then, obviously, and I had retinoblastoma eye cancer, right? And so both of my eyes had to be removed to save my life, and so that's how I became totally blind, because the cancer had spread through both of my eyes, and yeah, basically that's how it was. That's how it all kind of started.
ਮੈਂ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਸੈਂਟੀ ਗੱਲ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਕਰਨਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਚਾਹੁੰਦਾ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਚਾਹੁੰਦਾ ਕਿ
ਜੋ ਵੀ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਨਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ
ਸੋ ਬਿਲਕੁਲ, ਮੈਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਲਾਈਕ ਹਰ ਬੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਸਟੋਰੀ ਬਾਰੇ ਸੁਣਨਾ ਤੇ ਸਾਰੀ ਚੀਜ਼ ਤੇ ਫੋਕਸ ਕਰਨਾ, ਰਾਈਟ? ਆਪਣਾ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਪਿਆਰ ਜਿਹੜਾ, ਸਾਨੂੰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਜੋ ਫਨੀ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਸੁਣਾ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ, ਜੋ ਐਕਸਪੀਰੀਅੰਸਿਸ ਆ, ਆਪਾਂ ਉਸ ਤੇ ਫੋਕਸ ਕਰੀਏ। ਤੇ ਆਪਣਾ ਜਦੋਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਗੱਲ ਕੀਤੀ ਸਲਮਾਨ ਖਾਨ ਸਰ ਵਾਲੀ, ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਮੈਂ ਆਪਣੀ ਜਾਨੀ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਦੱਸਦਾ, ਇੰਸਟਾਗ੍ਰਾਮ ਤੇ ਨਾ ਤੂੰ ਵਿਊ ਕਰੇ ਆਪਣਾ ਵੀਡੀਓਜ਼ ਵਗੈਰਾ ਦੇਖੇਗਾ ਨਾ, ਤੇ ਭਾਈ ਪਹਿਲੇ ਆਪਣਾ ਕਹਿ ਲਓ ਕਿ ਕੰਟੈਸਟੈਂਟ ਸੀਗੇ ਜਿਹਨੂੰ ਨਜ਼ਰਾਨਾ ਮਿਲਿਆ ਸੀ, ਜਦੋਂ ਸਾਰੀ ਜਿਊਰੀ ਨੇ ਪੈਸੇ ਦਿੱਤੇ ਸੀਗੇ, ਭਾਈ ਉਹ ਐਕਸਪੀਰੀਅੰਸ, ਉਹ ਗਾਣਾ ਕਿਹੜਾ ਸੀ, ਉਹਦੀ ਜਰਨੀ ਬਾਰੇ ਦੱਸੋ।
Oh man, so I remember that day in particular. That was one of the best moments for me, because that was around the time I got to dance with Aishwarya Rai ma'am too.
Oh,
sick,
singer!
That was sick, bro. That was sick. You know, I like, it was just like one of those moments, like, I'll never forget, because
it was Aishwarya Rai.
Yeah, it was around that. We shot that episode around the same day as well. But with that moment, Baji, I mean, anytime you get a standing ovation from respected, you know, people within the music industry, right? and people that are so good at their craft. And I just remember, like, I was preparing that song, and I went up on stage, and I just, like, I don't even know, I just felt in the moment on that song, and I just when the song was done, to get that response and to get it Nazarana like that, bro, it was from everybody on the panel and stuff. I mean, it really, I think it just really encouraged me that, and it honestly, it challenged me that, I can't stay at this. I got to keep continuing, and I got to keep getting better and better.
ਗਾਣਾ ਕਿਹੜਾ ਸੀ ਭਾਈ?
ਸਪਨਾ ਜਹਾਂ ਬ੍ਰਦਰਸ ਦਾ।
ਇੱਕ ਅੱਧੀ ਲਾਈਨ, ਇੱਕ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਖਿੱਚਾਂਗੇ, ਇੱਕ ਦੋ ਲਾਈਨ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਵੀ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਵਧੀਆ ਲੱਗਦੀਆਂ ਹੋਣ।
तू रूह है तो मैं काया बनूं, ताउम्र मैं तेरा साया बनूं, कह दे तो बन जाऊं बैराग मैं, कह दे तो मैं तेरी माया बनूं, तू साज है मैं रागनी, तू रात है मैं चांदनी, मेरे दिल में जगह खुदा की खाली थी, देखा वहाँ पे आज तेरा चेहरा है, मैं भटकता हुआ सा एक बादल हूँ, जो तेरे आसमां पे आके ठहरा है।
ਭਾਈ ਬਸ ਐਸ਼ਵਰਿਆ ਹੀ, ਮੈਂ ਤਾਂ ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਕਟਰੀਨਾ ਸਾਰੀਆਂ ਹੋਣੀਆਂ ਚਾਹੀਦੀਆਂ ਸੀ ਨਾਲ, ਜਿੰਨਾ ਕੁ ਸੋਹਣਾ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਗਾਣਾ ਗਾਇਆ।
ਥੈਂਕ ਯੂ ਭਾਜੀ।
ਤੇ
ਅਮੇਜ਼ਿੰਗ ਬ੍ਰੋ, ਅਮੇਜ਼ਿੰਗ।
ਤੇ ਜਾਨੀ ਸਿੰਘ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਪਣਾ ਬੜਾ ਤਗੜਾ ਸਵਾਲ ਸਾਂਭੀ ਬੈਠੇ ਹੋ ਇੱਕ।
ਬ੍ਰੋ, ਜਿਹੜਾ ਰਿਜ਼ਲਟ ਸੀਗਾ ਸਾਰੇਗਾਮਾਪਾ ਦਾ,
ਹਾਂਜੀ,
were you satisfied with that? Because ਮੈਂ ਉਹ season ਦੇਖਿਆ ਹੋਇਆ, and to be honest, like even back then I didn't know, like you know Ash or anything. ਮੈਂ ਉਹ season ਦੇਖਿਆ ਹੋਇਆ। I ਤੁਸੀਂ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਮੇਰੇ ਫੇਵਰੇਟ ਸੀਗੇ, not because of ਕਿ ਕੋਈ ਹੋਰ ਰੀਜ਼ਨ, but just ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਮਿਊਜ਼ਿਕ। ਤੇ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਕੀ ਸੀਗਾ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸੈਟਿਸਫਾਈਡ ਸੀਗੇ ਉਸ ਚੀਜ਼ ਤੋਂ?
ਬਿਲਕੁਲ ਭਾਜੀ, ਐਬਸੋਲੂਟਲੀ।
ਓਕੇ,
ਇਹ ਕੋਈ ਡਿਪਲੋਮੈਟਿਕ ਜਵਾਬ ਨਹੀਂ ਦੇ ਰਿਹਾ, ਹਾਲਾਂਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਬਹੁਤ ਡਿਪਲੋਮੈਟ ਹੈਗਾ।
ਨਹੀਂ, ਇਹ ਗੱਲ ਠੀਕ ਹੈ ਵੈਸੇ ਡਿਪਲੋਮੈਟ ਵਾਲੀ।
but honestly, like, that season was so special. Like, I tell everybody that I meet, because we were all so tight. We were like a family, bro. Like, every contestant on the show was like pushing each other, encouraging one another, to do better and better and better. And we would always be cheering for one another. Agar je koi vadiya bhi koi gaya te edda bhi nahi siga ki, oh my god, man, like, nah, it was, we're gonna give him a standing ovation, they deserve it, right. So in that sense, I was so happy, that how it played out the way it did. And it's so funny because I had so many fan pages back then that were portraying the opposite that I was thinking, because they were like fake pages that were pretending to be me, right? And so they'd be like, oh, I hate this result, I'm so mad, I'm so pissed, right? And I'm just like, this is not what I said. I'm like, pehle media de vich koi kuch na kuch leak na ho jaye. I'm like, let me just set the record straight, right?
Right.
ਤੇ ਆਪਣਾ ਫੈਨ ਪੇਜ ਤੋਂ ਗੱਲ ਹੋਈ, ਤੇ ਫਿਰ ਓਬਵੀਅਸਲੀ ਜੇ ਫੈਨ ਪੇਜ ਹੈਗਾ ਤਾਂ ਫੈਨਸ ਵੀ ਇੱਦਾਂ ਦੀਆਂ ਹੀ ਹੋਣਗੀਆਂ, ਤੇ ਕੋਈ ਇੱਦਾਂ ਦਾ ਕ੍ਰੇਜ਼ੀ ਕੋਈ ਆਪਣਾ ਫੈਨ ਐਕਸਪੀਰੀਅੰਸ?
See, bro, I think overall you always have like fan experiences that kind of teach you something. And I think for me, honestly, like you just gotta be, and it's something that I've learned. You've got to be very calculated, I would say, and just very be there for everybody, but understand that like, as long as you're still able to do your work, and as long as you're still able to do those things, like, those are the things that matter the most, right? So for me, I think, you know, like you gotta focus on those things and have that balance, right? Oftentimes, like sometimes you get so enamored in like, oh, you know, there's a lot of things, and I talk about it because I went through those experiences, right? And I love everybody. I always, you know, want to make sure that I have time for other people and time for certain things, right? But you got to make sure too that you're still doing your work and you're trying to, you know, get new fans involved too, right? So
ਭਾਜੀ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਫੋਕਸ ਸਿੰਗਿੰਗ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਆ ਤੇ ਸਿੰਗਿੰਗ ਤਾਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਮਾਸ਼ਾਅੱਲਾ ਬਹੁਤ ਹੀ ਕਮਾਲ ਕਰਦੇ ਹੋ ਤੇ ਭਾਜੀ ਕੁੜੀਆਂ ਲਾਈਕ ਕਿੰਨੀਆਂ ਫੈਨ ਬੇਸ ਆ ਕੁੜੀਆਂ ਵਾਲਾ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ
ਭਾਜੀ मैं की कमा शर्मिंदा कर रहे हो यार काफी ने no honestly bro like every fan is important to me man मैं किसी नो भी like you know whether it's a guy or girl or anything you know like you know but it's so funny because sometimes I'll do my like lives back like, especially back then right and you have guys coming on like oh bro I wish you were a girl right like, and I'm just like oh damn man like but you know nah man everybody's important to me bro
ਪਰ ਫਿਰ ਵੀ ਕੋਈ ਕੁੜੀਆਂ ਦਾ ਕੋਈ ਕੁੜੀ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਕੋਈ ਇਹੋ ਜਿਹਾ ਐਕਸਪੀਰੀਅੰਸ ਹੋਇਆ ਹੋਵੇ ਕੋਈ ਕੁੜੀ ਫੈਨ ਹੋਵੇ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਯਾਦ ਹੋਵੇ
ਤਾਂ ਬਥੇਰੇ ਆ bro
ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਕੁੜੀਆਂ ਬਹੁਤ ਹੀ ਲਾਈਕ ਕੁੜੀਆਂ ਸਿੰਗਿੰਗ ਦੇ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਤਾਂ ਲਾਈਕ ਯੂ نو ਕੁੜੀਆਂ ਬਹੁਤ ਅਟਰੈਕਟ ਹੁੰਦੀਆਂ ਇਸ ਚੀਜ਼ ਤੋਂ ਤੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ
I got a few marriage proposals I got a few marriage proposals on like on Messenger and stuff like I get these like voice messages, you know, from both guys and girls. They'd be singing and like and like I like I didn't even have time to go through all of them. Like most of the time, like my team would or like you know. So I mean, yeah, bro. Like you definitely get interactions like that. I used to do this thing where I would. Do these like fan interactions like so Instagram live te main kehna si je tusi mere live te aonge then I'll find you on Messenger and I'll call you as you know thanks for your support so I do that like usually every day every week kind of thing and that was something that my dad came up with right just to like call different people and stuff like that so like there was this one time I called somebody and she was like oh my god it's you and then like 15 other people showed up on the phone right so like it took like 25 minutes and I was just like oh man this is crazy like I was so enamored by all the love man really like I didn't even expect so much of that bro
ਤੇ ਫਿਰ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਮੈਰਿਜ ਪ੍ਰਪੋਜ਼ਲਸ ਤੋਂ ਗਾਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਗੱਲ ਵਧੀ
नहीं buddy I was too young man I was just like hun mainu thode je jeen do now I'm at a phase now where I'm just like you know I just want to find the person that you know can that we can fit together obviously emotionally and just you know practically too obviously but I'm just kind of at that phase now obviously when you get closer to 30 you're just like oh shit like you're finally starting to think about the practicalities of life
ਅਸੀਂ ਵੀ ਉਹੀ ਵਾਲੇ ਫੇਸ ਤੇ ਆ ਤੇ
ਮੈਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗਾ bro ਮੈਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਹਲੇ ਆਉਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦਾ
ਮੇਰੀ ਫੇਸ ਤੇ ਤਾਂ ਕਹਿ ਰਹੀ ਸੀ ਮੈਂ ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਚਲੋ ਉਮਰ ਤਾਂ ਹੋਈ ਗਈ ਹੈ ਬਟ ਚਲੋ ਭਾਵੇਂ ਕਰਦੇ ਦੇਖ ਰਹੇ ਹੁਣ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋਈ
ਉਮਰ ਮੇਰੇ ਹਿਸਾਬ ਨਾਲ ਤਾਂ ਮੇਰੀ ਉਮਰ ਲੰਘ ਗਈ ਹੈ
ਮੈਂ ਆਪਣਾ ਜੱਗੀ ਭਾਈ ਜੇ ਸੇਮ ਚੀਜ਼ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਤੋਂ ਪੁੱਛਣੀ ਹੋਵੇ ਮੈਂ ਨਾ ਕੁਐਸਚਨ ਕਹਿ ਲਓ ਕਿ 2-3 ਆਪਣੇ ਗੈਸਟ ਹੋਰ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਆਏ ਸੀਗੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਵੀ ਸੇਮ ਚੀਜ਼ ਪੁੱਛੀ ਆ ਜੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਇੱਕ ਡੇਟ ਹੋਵੇ ਠੀਕ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਕੀ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਪਰਫੈਕਟ ਡੇਟ ਹੋਊਗੀ
ਭਾਜੀ ਮੇਰੀ ਪਰਫੈਕਟ ਡੇਟ ਤਾਂ ਬੜੀ
ਭਾਜੀ ਪਰਿਵਾਰਿਕ ਰੱਖਣੀ ਹੈ
ਬੜੀ ਬੋਰਿੰਗ ਹੈ bro you know like नहीं परिवारिक ही रखना है definitely I'm not gonna nah honestly bro like and this is something like that I've kind of noticed about myself like I've never been that kind of guy who's been like oh I need to you know have this to have a date I need to like physical attraction's never been a thing for me maybe because I can't see I don't know what it is but even with blind people bro like it's like it's kind of similar to a lot of people who can see in some sense if that makes any sense but like for me like growing up Baji, it was always about the emotional side of things so like for me like a perfect date is like you know going on walks like by the water, you know. I love the nature and stuff, you know, going for like a nice dinner, you know. I love my food, as people could probably tell, right? Like, you know, it's one of those things, man. Like I don't have this sort of like I just love to get to know the person, like really sit down with them, really get to know them, you know, ask them questions and you know, hopefully build that connection with them, you know, because I think that's the perfect way to really get that relationship forward.
ਬਿਲਕੁਲ ਮੈਂ ਖੈਰ ਜਾਨੀ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਨਾ ਲੌਂਗ ਵਾਕਸ ਵਾਲੀ ਗੱਲ ਮੈਂ ਭਾਈ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਹੁਣੀ ਮੈਂ ਪਿਛਲੇ 2 ਸਾਲ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਗਿਆ ਨਾ ਤੇ ਭਾਈ ਨੇ ਕੱਲਿਆਂ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਪੂਰਾ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਘੁਮਾਇਆ
really
ਬਿਲਕੁਲ
yeah bro
ਤੂੰ ਆਪਣਾ ਇਹ ਹਿਸਾਬ ਲਾ ਕੇ ਕਿਹੜੀ ਟ੍ਰੇਨ ਹੈ ਕਿਹੜੀ ਸਟਰੀਟ ਆ ਖੈਰ ਭਾਈ ਦੇਖ ਨਹੀਂ ਸਕਦੇ ਪਰ ਮੈਂ ਇੰਨਾ ਦੱਸ ਸਕਦਾ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਲੋਕੀ ਰਹਿ ਰਹੇ ਆ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਇੰਨਾ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਦੇ ਰੂਟ ਬਾਰੇ ਕਿਸੇ ਚੀਜ਼ ਬਾਰੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਪਤਾ ਹੋਊਗਾ ਜਿੰਨਾ ਇਕੱਲੇ ਭਾਜੀ ਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ
no I've seen like
ਅੱਜ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਦੇਖ ਲਓ
ਮੈਂ like ਭਾਜੀ ਨੂੰ ਫੋਨ ਯੂਜ਼ ਕਰਦਾ ਦੇਖਿਆ ਨਾ ਕੱਲ ਜਦੋਂ I was so amazed because like you know ਜਿੰਨੀ ਤੇਜ਼ ਮਤਲਬ ਕਿ ਤੂੰ let's say if I tell you to like you know dial a number or something maybe you can't do that.
I can't do that bro.
Paji used it like you know he's amazing and like you know
thank you baby.
So
you know it's technology has developed so much now, right and you know for me I think that's the biggest thing now is like the independence of all of it is like how much it's growing like hunta like technology da koi ant nahi hega like even with AI and stuff coming out now it's crazy
right but still like you know bahut sare log hunde ne you know like they have like you know any kind of disability they will make like you know excuse कि हाँ कि मैं आ चीज़ इस करके नहीं कर सकता मैं ये चीज़ इस करके नहीं कर सकता but I guess you know like कोई ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਵੱਲ ਦੇਖੇਗਾ ਤਾਂ ਉਹਨੂੰ you know ਬਹੁਤ ਕੁਝ ਸਿੱਖਣ ਨੂੰ ਮਿਲ ਸਕਦਾ ਕਿ ਮੋਟੀਵੇਸ਼ਨ ਆ ਬਹੁਤ ਵੱਡੀ
actually ਭਾਜੀ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਗੱਲ ਵੀ ਸਹੀ ਹੈ but speaking as someone who is disabled in some way although I look at it as being differently abled because I feel like see even if I can't see like there's other things I can enjoy but I enjoy them differently right when ਜਦੋਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਚੀਜ਼ ਨੂੰ ਆਪਾਂ ਵੇਖਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਜਾਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਵਿਊ ਨੂੰ ਆਪਾਂ enjoy ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ like oh look at that beautiful view I always look at it as oh I can like smell the fresh air I can like hear the you know the sounds around me right and those are the things that I visualize and take in but when it comes to like excuse and stuff like that I agree to an extent that exists but the reason for that is you know ਕਿਤੇ ਨਾ ਕਿਤੇ ਭਾਜੀ ਸਾਡੇ in a society ਹੈ ਨਾ ਜਦੋਂ ਆਪਾਂ family ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ grow up ਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ for example if you're in a family and you're a person with a disability sometimes you're told right from the beginning that oh ਤੂੰ ਐ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰ ਪਾਏਗਾ ਤੂੰ ਉਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰ ਪਾਏਗਾ you know it's always just sort of in that realm and you're beaten down to the point where you know you feel like oh you can't do it right so I think to some extent like there is an excuse but I think that excuse is because you feel that confidence hasn't ever been given to you because you never had that social support to begin with right so and I think that's where the ableism part of it comes through like even for me while growing up I had to like my family's been so supportive right and friends too but I've had to tell people like hey these are things I can actually do like you know it was so funny like recently like someone saw me putting on socks and they're like oh wow you can actually do that like that's pretty easy right like oh belt bhi aap pe pa rahe hain right all right and it's like these things because I think when people see a blind person, they look, oh, like it must be like cognitively impaired, right? Koi brain injury bhi honi hai. But it's like, nah, it's just a physical thing. It's merely sight loss. Otherwise, like I walk, I travel, I do everything on my own, right? So for me, like, you know, all these things combined, it all comes from that support. And I think it's all about just realizing that we're worth so much more than we give ourselves credit for.
ਤੁਸੀਂ ਫੈਮਿਲੀ ਵਾਲੀ ਗੱਲ ਕੀਤੀ ਆ ਨਾ ਤੇ ਮੈਂ like I've known you for like ਜਦ ਤੋਂ forever right ਤੇ ਅਗਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਬਾਜਵਾ ਅੰਕਲ ਨੂੰ ਇਸ ਟੌਪਿਕ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਨਾ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆਈਏ ਉਹ ਵੀ ਫੇਅਰ ਗੱਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਆ how much he supports you and for everything like ਕੋਈ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ words ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗੇ how would you talk about that what are your thoughts about that I mean there's no thoughts but
absolutely bro like the family has been the backbone and dad has been the spine bro like he has been the absolute warrior in the sense that all of the stuff in terms of resiliency in terms of determination I've learned from him har ek performance se he's always there right
ਹਾਂਜੀ
ਜਿੱਥੇ ਵੀ ਜਾਣਾ ਹੋਏ ਇੰਟਰਵਿਊ 'ਚ ਵੀ everywhere he's always there. And that's the same thing like with my family, with Ashika, with my brother Manu, my mom. Like everyone has played their part in like helping me get here. But man, like it's not many people have that, and I consider myself very lucky to have that, right? So I mean, he has been exceptional in that. And like he's been my manager, he's been my best friend, and I feel like we've just gotten closer and closer over the years too, which really helps a lot.
Got it. Paji, how was your overall Bombay experience? You lived in Bombay for a while, right?
Culture shock, bro. I honestly, I didn't even know, man. Like at first I was like, oh, I want to go home, right? Like, but then like few months into it, I really enjoyed my time. Okay. Like, honestly, I really enjoyed my time in Mumbai. Like I got to learn so much. Jinne vi like musicians though, yeah, just people in general, and how how it's so diverse. Like I don't think India gets enough credit for how diverse it is. Okay. Really, like even Punjab has its own culture. We go to South India, it's got its own totally vibe. Mumbai's got its own vibe. Like there's like Northeast India, right? Like there's so much there that we just take for granted, I guess, or right. we don't realize. But diversity da bahut hai uthi India de vich. Now would I live there permanently? I guess I would at this. You never say never, but at this point, no, because obviously Canada's home. It's always been home for me. So like, of course, if I have to go there for career stuff, yeah, absolutely. But I'd still want to have a place here.
Right.
ਮੈਨੂੰ ਆਪਣਾ ਕੋਈ ਸਟੋਰੀ ਵਗੈਰਾ ਕੋਈ ਬੰਬੇ ਦੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸ਼ੇਅਰ ਕਰਨਾ ਚਾਹੋ ਕੋਈ ਐਕਸਪੀਰੀਅੰਸ
Bro, there was this one time where a few of us went out to like this was during Saregama. A few of us went out to a lounge when we weren't supposed to go out. Okay. It was like 2 days before the shoot, and we just we went out to a lounge. We were all just chilling out. A few of us, like few of the contestants, and I think we lost one of them. I don't know where they ended up. They found their way home, right? But then the thing is, like the next day we got in so much trouble because I guess like one of the guys, they forgot you weren't supposed to. They had one of the mentors on Snapchat, and so they snapped it. And so yeah, we all got talking to the next day, man. It was just so fun. Like honestly, like it was so much fun. We watched so many movies together. We'd go out for like food and drinks and stuff. Like it was just like one of those things that I'll always remember for the rest of my life.
ਹਾਲੇ ਵੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਚੋਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ like are you still in contact with them or
yeah, of course, yeah, like Jyotika and Rupali and Harjot Kushal, all those guys, Tanveer Paji, like they've all we usually still keep in contact with one another.
And Paji, ਹੋਰ ਕਿਹੜੇ like ਵੱਡੇ artists, like especially ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਇੰਡਸਟਰੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਿਸੇ artist ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ daily routine ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਾਂ ਫਿਰ in general ਤੁਹਾਡਾ contact ਰਹਿੰਦਾ ਹੋਵੇ?
Paji, I mean, honestly, like I feel so lucky because I've gotten so much. I remember, I'm sure Ash Paji remembers this really well. We went to the Marriott Hotel in Chandigarh. We were chilling with who's Deep Paji, Deep Jandu Paji.
Deep Jandu, Happy Rai Koti.
Yeah,
Happy Tello. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So I keep in touch with them regularly.
Like even when he came there, like he met you, right?
Yeah, he was in Calgary. I was in Calgary for a show too, and he was there, and yeah, no, I keep in contact with a lot of like Sukshinder Shinda Paji. Like it was honestly such an honor. Like he saw me, I guess, on Instagram, and he realized that I was from Vancouver, and he was in Vancouver at the time. And he was like, oh, I got to meet this guy. And so he called, I guess he got because one of his buddies knows my dad. And so, and we've known him for a long time because he's one of the newspaper editors there as well. So he called my dad and he was like, oh, we got Sukshinder Shinda Paji and he wants to meet Juggy. And then I guess it just kind of went from there, right? So he came over to our house and it was such an honor. Like he's just so down to earth, bro. Just so down to earth. He spent 4 or 5 hours with us. Like for someone to take that much time out and stuff like and just he came in and he just treated us like we were his own family, you know.
Cool. ਤੇ ਜਿੰਨੀ ਤੇਜ਼ ਉਹ ਗਾਉਂਦੇ ਆ ਬੋਲਦੇ ਵੀ ਉਨੀ ਤੇਜ਼ ਆ ਕਿ ਬੋਲਦੇ ਨਾਰਮਲੀ ਆ?
ਨਹੀਂ ਭਾਈ he's just no ਬੋਲਦੇ ਵੀ ਬਹੁਤ ਵਧੀਆ ਨੇ and he's you could tell like just how humble and what a musician he is.
He definitely looked really humble. ਮੈਨੂੰ ਸਗੋਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਦੀਪ ਜਿੰਦੂ ਬਾਈ ਬਾਰੇ ਗੱਲ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਸੀਗੇ, ਹਾਂਜੀ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਦਾ ਨੇਚਰ? ਬਿਕਾਜ਼ ਲਾਈਕ ਵੈਸੇ ਲਾਈਕ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਸਕਰੀਨ ਲੁੱਕ ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਦੇ ਗਾਣੇ ਗੁਣੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਥੋੜੇ ਐਰੋਗੈਂਟ ਲੱਗਦੇ ਵੈਸੇ.
No, you know what, bro, like everyone, like it's funny because Jazzy B Baji told me the same thing. He's like, when you're on stage you got to be a different person.
Okay. Because
you're entertaining, right? You got to have that look, you got to have that swagger. But when you meet all of these guys, right, they're just super awesome guys. Like Deep Baji is like one of the quieter guys you'll meet. Like he's super just like chills, right? He's just like, you know, sitting there and like their setup was super sick too. Like they had basically a studio in their hotel room.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And they're just, it's like 7-8 of them in like a suit and like bas sun rahe. They're like ek side gana record ho raha, picture like baithe hue bande gaane galla gulla kar rahe hain. It was chills. It was mega actually video pe I'm gonna show it to you right after this.
Yeah, it's on YouTube right now too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Tu ਗੱਲ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੈ Jazzy B ਦੀ ਤੇ Jazzy ਭਾਈ ਤਾਂ Canucks fan ਹੈ and so are you.
Yeah.
How do you want to talk, like Canucks fan ਤੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਕਿੰਨੀ ਵਾਰੀ ਦੇਖਦੇ ਵੀ ਆ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਪਣਾ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਪਰਫਾਰਮ ਵੀ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਹੋ. ਉਹ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਐਕਸਪੀਰੀਅੰਸ ਹੈ, that's like goosebumps for every like Canadian national or like American person that's looking at you ਕਿ ਆਪਣਾ ਜਦ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਪਣਾ national anthem ਵਗੈਰਾ ਜਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਕੁਝ ਵੀ ਗਾ ਰਹੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਹੋ.
ਹਾਂਜੀ. Honestly, Baji, being a Canucks fan, I mean, it's like, and singing is like one of the most nerve-wracking things because you want the team to win, and then you have to sing on top of that, right? And so, but honestly, bro, like it's been an experience. Like jadon main Instagram te us time COVID chal raha si, lockdown chal raha si, te main Instagram te vi covers mein dalda si usually every week, 1 to 2 days a week, and my buddy actually recommended the Canucks to my, because he knows some guys that work with the Canucks, and so they actually got to my page and they were looking through everything, and they saw like all the covers I've done, and they were like, hey, you know, we would love for you to perform at our Visakhi game, and that was like one of the lockout shortened seasons, so there was nobody in the building, right? It was just me, so it was like a TV event, and so I'm just like so nervous, bro, because I was like, yo, like, you know, this is so like, this is my dream, this has always been my dream to perform. And so anyways, jadon main anthem gaya uto baad my phone was just blowing up. Like I was just like, oh my god, like this is crazy, man. Mainu kade ye cheez expect bhi nahi hoya ki like, you know, main ta bas yahi soche siga ki chalo main anthem gawanga, and like, you know, uto baad, you know, it'd just be another feather in the cap. Like I just did it, and when I logged on to like Instagram and Twitter, which is X, but we still call Twitter, I got on, and like there was like tweets from national media, there was retweets from like, you know, people across Canada and America and stuff, and I was like, oh my god, like I don't think this has ever happened before, like with me or like anything like that, and just to see like the love and support I got from it, and doing it ever since, like at soccer games, at Canucks games, and stuff, like, you know, it's been so fun, bro, like really.
ਆਪਣਾ ਹੁਣ ਤੱਕ ਕਨੈਕਸ 'ਚ ਆਪਣਾ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਬੰਦਾ ਵੀ ਆ ਗਿਆ, ਬੈਂਸ.
Yeah, no, he's playing well, bro. He's you know, I think he'll be a regular next year. But yeah, no, he's shown flashes, bro. I'm excited for him, man.
ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਰਦੇ ਹੋ, ਇੰਗਲਿਸ਼ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਰਦੇ ਹੋ, ਹੋਰ ਕਿੰਨੀਆਂ ਲੈਂਗੁਏਜਸ ਤੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਗਾਣੇ ਕਰ ਲੈਂਦੇ ਹੋ?
See, I've actually sang in 16 languages.
16?
Yeah. because the thing is, like, I've learned a lot, like, in Sanskrit, and I've sung Tamil before, I've sung in Bengali before, I've sang in Gujarati before as well, like, because obviously in Bollywood the thing is, like, je tusi versatile nahi hege, then it's really hard to find work. So for me, like, I've always been like that guy who has treated his vocals like an instrument. Like, vocals are an instrument, but, like, I've always experimented with my tone, right? Anywhere from, like, Rubaru tu magar tanha hai ye jahan to you know, to stuff like ab hai samne ise chhu lo zara मर जाऊं या जी लो ज़रा, you know, stuff like that. Like, I've always just been so enamored with, like, how people sing and how they have their voices, and I've always tried to, like, experiment, and I feel like experimenting with your vocals and listening to world music, like, my Western classical diploma vi kita and my Indian classical music degree vi kita, man. So, you know, for me, I think that's where I learned a lot of those languages from.
Who's your inspiration, Paji, like, in music industry? Like, ਕਿਹੜਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਦਿਲੋਂ ਸੁਣ ਕੇ ਵਧੀਆ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਤੇ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਮਨ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਕਿ ਲਾਈਕ ਯਾ ਇਹਦੇ ਵਰਗਾ ਕੌਣ ਆ ਮੈਂ?
It's so hard to say, Paji, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਹਰ ਇੱਕ ਨਾ ਹਰ ਇੱਕ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇੱਕ ਅਲੱਗ ਹੀ ਝਲਕ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ. Right? ਮੈਂ you know, I've grown up obviously listening to a lot of A.R. Rahman Saab and Shankar Mahadevan ji. And obviously, if we look at the Punjabi industry and what, you know, Karan Aujla Paji is doing, what Sidhu Moosewala Paji, with the how he's really changed the complexion of the industry, Diljit Paji, there's always so many people that you look up to because they've brought something so different to the table. And, you know, for me to say, oh, main ona varga gana hai, I think that would be unfair to them because, you know, I feel like, you know, they've done so much, and for me it's making my, you know, having my own journey and adding to that.
ਕੋਈ ਡ੍ਰੀਮ ਕਲੈਬ ਹੈਗੀ ਫਿਰ ਵੀ ਮਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਿ ਯਾਰ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਚਾਹੇ 2-3 ਸਿੰਗਰ ਹੋਣ, but like ਕੋਈ ਡ੍ਰੀਮ ਕਲੈਬਸ?
Right now, if you were to ask me, bro, probably Diljit Paji, man.
Diljit Paji.
Yeah.
Actress कौन होगी फिर?
Model.
I mean, yeah, model कौन होगी फिर?
Oh man. You're putting me on the spot here, bro.
That's the thing.
You're putting me on the spot, man. I think, like, definitely I would go for Katrina Kaif or somebody, man.
Awesome, nice. Diljit with Katrina, man. Diljit Paji, just in case if you're listening.
Start financing right now, bro. ਸਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਪੈਸੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਆ, bro.
ਮੈਂ ਨਾ ਆਪਣਾ ਪਰਸੋਂ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਆ ਤੇ ਨਾ ਭਾਈ ਨੇ ਗਾਣਾ ਇੱਕ ਰਿਕਾਰਡ ਕੀਤਾ ਤੇ ਗਾਣਾ ਸੁਣਾ ਰਹੇ ਸੀ ਤੇ ਭਾਈ ਅੰਕਲ ਨੇ ਨਾ ਉਦਾਂ ਮਜ਼ਾਕ ਕਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਤੂੰ ਸਪਾਂਸਰ ਕਰਨਾ, ਤੂੰ ਪ੍ਰੋਡਿਊਸ ਕਰਨਾ. ਮੈਂ ਅੰਕਲ ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਹਿ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ ਨਾ, ਮੈਂ ਕਿਹਾ ਮੇਰੇ ਕੋਲ ਤਾਂ ਬਿਲਕੁਲ ਪੈਸੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗੇ. ਜੇ ਮੈਂ ਕਿਹਾ ਮੈਂ ਗਾਣੇ ਦੇ ਰੈਕਡ ਲੇਬਲ ਕੱਢਣਾ ਤੇ ਮੈਂ ਤਾਂ ਬ੍ਰੋਕ ਬॉयਜ਼ ਕੱਢ ਕੇ ਕਰਕੇ
Broke Boy Studios.
Broke Boy Music. ਸੰਗਤਾਰ ਵਾਲਾ.
Yeah, no, bro, like, honestly, like, it would just be fun. Like, to be very honest with you, like, je koi bhi musician jo ਜਿਹੜੀ ਵੀ collaboration ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ ਮੇਰੇ ਲਈ ਕੋਈ ਵੱਡਾ ਛੋਟਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੁੰਦਾ, you know, like, I love to collab with, you know, obviously it's got to fit and both people have to enjoy collaborating, right? You don't want to, you know, like, if I'm doing a pop song, right, you probably don't want to collaborate with somebody that's not into pop, right? So, you know, like, those are things, but for me, like, I just want to collaborate jo ਵਧੀਆ ਆਰਟਿਸਟ ਹੈ ਜੋ ਮਿਹਨਤ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ, ਜਿਹੜੇ ਸੱਚੀ ਉਹ ਕਲਾਕਾਰ ਨੂੰ ਪਸੰਦ ਕਰਦੇ ਨੇ ਜਾਂ ਆਪ ਹੀ ਕਲਾਕਾਰ ਨੇ, ਲਾਈਕ ਦੋਜ਼ ਆਰ ਦ ਥਿੰਗਸ that matter to me the most.
ਰਾਈਟ. ਅਤੇ ਭਾਜੀ ਇੱਕ ਨਾ ਆਪਣੇ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਇੰਡਸਟਰੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਇੱਕ ਚੀਜ਼ ਚੱਲਦੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਸਿਰਫ ਗਾਨਸ ਦਾ ਕਲਚਰ ਇੰਟਰੋਡਿਊਸ ਕਰਨਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਗਾਣਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ, या फिर कह लो कि अगर guns नहीं गए probably like drugs or like gangs and शराब maybe you know शराब would be like you know would be more like drugs तो चलो इतना नहीं हैगा but शराब वगैरह था like you know
फीम होवे फीम दी डली होवे दारू होवे
it went from like you know ਮੱਖਣ ਵੀ ਕੱਢਿਆ ਹੋਵੇ ਗੰਡਲਾਂ ਦਾ ਸਾਗ ਵੱਡੀ ਬੇਬੇ ਨੇ ਬਣਾਇਆ ਹੋਵੇ ਤੂੰ ਅਫੀਮ ਹੋਵੇ to drugs ਹੋਵੇ to yeah
so how much you think ਕਿ ਇਹ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਬਹੁਤ like you know ਜ਼ਰੂਰੀ ਨੇ ਗਾਣੇ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਪਾਉਣੀਆਂ in order to like ਗਾਣਾ to work?
See, I can't speak for other artists. Like ਹਰ ਇੱਕ ਦੀ ਇੱਕ ਸੋਚ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਆ.
Right.
You know, obviously we dance to these songs, right? We talk about it, right? Like,
right.
You know, but ਆਪਾਂ ਗਾਣੇ ਤੇ ਨੱਚਦੇ ਵੀ ਆ ਟੱਪਦੇ ਵੀ ਆ, right?
Right.
No, I mean every artist has their own you know way of expressing and their own way of doing things which I respect. And you know, obviously you can always learn from an artist, right? ਜਿੱਥੇ ਤੱਕ ਮੇਰਾ ਸਵਾਲ ਹੈਗਾ, honestly, like ਮੈਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਕਿ I've always been about, you know, doing parivarik songs, you know, songs that you can listen to in your family. That's been a big thing for me, just because that's the way I grew up, right? And I think that you can still make a ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਧਮਾਕਾ ਵਾਲਾ ਗਾਣਾ. I think you can still do that, and you can still have a sick beat. You can still have like things like that, and you can still do justice to that song where people can listen to it, right? Chahe tusi gaddiyan bhi paalo video ch mehengiyan gaddiyan or whatever, right? But like even with Diljit, right? Like Lover, like that's a song that's you know, doesn't have any guns or anything in it, right? As far as I know, right? You know, Goat and stuff like that. Like there are ways to make your song that you're still adding so much flavor to it. You're still making it a hype song, right? But you're doing it without, you know, the drugs and everything else too, right? So I think there's ways of doing it for sure.
Got it.
ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਰੋਗੇ? I just put you on spot, bro.
Like a gang song?
ਹਾਂ ਤੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਵੀ ਏਦਾਂ ਮਤਲਬ ਗਾਣਾ ਕਰਨਾ ਕਿ ਮੁੰਡਾ ਬੰਬ ਸੱਟਦਾ ਕਿ ਨਹੀਂ?
Honestly, it's not my preference, bro.
Huh?
No, not for me. Nah. I can do like some rap stuff that can be modern and whatnot, but I don't know. I did this, but I did this Musiala parody.
Oh,
right?
I would love to hear that. I would love to hear that.
Dekho, appa kende hai na कि I was actually inspired by Sudesh Lehri ji on this, because I know he did that with remember that song that came out by Mikka Singh, Gandi Baat?
Right?
Yeah. I don't know that song.
Ab karunga tere saath, that song. And then so he made it into Sonu Nigam style. He's like, agar aap composition iski change kar doge to kitna maza aayega. He's like, Gandi Baat. So I was like, man, what if I did Sidhu Moosewala Dollar in a classical style, right? It would be like ne sa ga ma pa ਡਾਲਰਾਂ ਵਾਂਗੂਨੇ ਨਾ ਸਾਡਾ ਚੱਲਦਾ, ਡਾਲਰਾਂ ਵਾਂਗੂਨੇ ਨਾ ਸਾਡਾ ਚੱਲਦਾ, ਬਲੈਕ ਲਿਸਟਡ ਕਾਰਾਂ ਨੇ, ਬਲੈਕ ਲਿਸਟਡ ਕਾਰਾਂ ਨੇ, ਅਸੀਂ ਪੁੱਤ ਹਾਂ ਡਾਕੂਆਂ ਦੇ, ਡਾਲਰਾਂ ਵਾਂਗੂਨੇ ਨਾ ਸਾਡਾ ਚੱਲਦਾ, ਮਹਿੰਗੀਆਂ ਗੰਨਾਂ ਨੇ, ਗਨਨ ਗਨਨ ਗਨ ਠਾਠਾ, ਗਨਨ ਗਨਨ ਠਾਠਾ, ਮਹਿੰਗੀਆਂ ਗੰਨਾਂ ਨੇ, ਲੱਖਾਂ ਤੇ ਚਾਕੂਆਂ ਨੇ, ਅਸੀਂ ਪੁੱਤ ਹਾਂ ਡਾਕੂਆਂ ਦੇ ਡਾਲਰਾਂ ਵਾਂਗੂ ਡਾਲਰਾਂ ਵਾਂਗੂ ਡਾਲਰਾਂ ਵਾਂਗੂ ਪਮਾ ਬਗਾ ਬਾ ਨੀ ਨੀ ਦਾ ਪਮਾ ਗਰੇ ਜ਼ਨੀ ਡਾਲਰਾਂ ਵਾਂਗੂ ਡਾਲਰਾਂ ਵਾਂਗੂ ਡਾਲਰਾਂ
I'm the brown boy.
ਨਹੀਂ ਇਹ ਤਾਂ ਜੇ ਬਾਈ ਚ ਕੋਈ ਬੰਦਾ ਸੁਣ ਲਿਆ ਇਹ ਤਾਂ ਚੇਂਜ ਹੀ ਹੋਣਾ
ਸੁਣਨਗੇ
this is actually
crazy this is crazy
ਤੇ ਜੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਗੈਂਗ ਵਾਲਾ Song ਵੀ ਗਾਵਾਂਗੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਤਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਕੰਪੋਜੀਸ਼ਨ ਚੇਂਜ ਕਰ ਦਾਂਗੇ ਥੋੜੀ ਤਾਂ ਕਿ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਵਧੀਆ ਵੀ ਲੱਗੇ ਆਹਾ ਕੀ ਬਾਤ ਹੈ
ਭਾਈ ਹੁਣ ਆਪਣਾ ਹੋਰ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਗੱਲ ਆਪਾਂ ਕਰੀਏ ਦੇਖੋ ਜਾਨੀ ਨੂੰ ਦੋ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਦਾ ਬੜਾ ਚਾਅ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹਰ ਬੰਦੇ ਤੋਂ ਪੁੱਛਣ ਦਾ ਕਿ ਭਾਜੀ ਲਵ ਲਾਈਫ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਚੱਲ ਰਹੀ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ
ਮੈਂ ਟਰਾਈ ਕੀਤਾ ਸੀਗਾ ਭਾਈ ਨੂੰ ਪੁੱਛਣ ਦਾ ਭਾਈ ਗੋਲਮੋਲ ਕਰਕੇ
ਭਾਈ ਨੇ ਬੜਾ ਤਗੜਾ ਕਰਬਲ ਕੀਤਾ ਮੈਂ ਕਿਹਾ ਇਹ ਸਾਰੀ ਗੱਲ ਠੰਡੀ ਕਰਨ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਫਿਰ ਵਾਪਸ ਗੱਲ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆਉਨੇ ਕੋਈ ਨਾ ਕੋਈ ਗੱਲ ਸੁਣਨ ਨੂੰ ਮਿਲੂਗੀ
honestly bro love life right now is just music bro love life right now is just sort of concentrated on that I was in something for 3 or 4 years and unfortunately just things just because of circumstances and everything it didn't work out but I'm just focused on really just trying to settle down and hopefully that day will come at some point I think the biggest thing for me Paji is right now love life is like love life is like no life bro but I'm see I think part of the thing is like I've tried using like certain things before and this is not me feeling sorry for myself right but I think what it comes down to as well Paji is that there's a lot of things that as a person I've learned right when I talk about ableism for example and one of the things is that when you are blind or when you have some sort of differing ability it's really hard to find somebody to settle down with in the sense that it might not even be the person but it's their families too and I respect families and I respect their sort of ways of how they see life and everything else but I think like I was saying like there's this assumption right that देख नहीं सकता like how can he get around how can he do things like I cut stuff on my own I'm learning how to cook now too which is fun there's a lot of things I do and no this is not me advertising this is through Jugpreet and Jatin Paji's podcast right matrimonial service ashjatan.com
ਕੱਲ ਪਤਾ ਚੱਲੇਗਾ ਫੈਨ ਪੇਜ ਤੇ ਰਿਸ਼ਤੇ ਕੱਲ ਫਿਰ ਤੋਂ ਰਿਸ਼ਤੇ ਆਣੇ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਹੋਏ ਕਿ ਮੁੰਡਾ ਖਾਣਾ ਵੀ ਬਣਾ ਲੈਂਦਾ ਹੁਣ ਤਾਂ ਓਕੇ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ ਕੰਮ
I guess it's just a message to people like it's not even just me or anything but really I think just ask the person directly right like talk about it with that person really get to know that person because that's when you get to know like that this person isn't in a place where they have any sort of cognitive issues which I don't even if you do like cognitive doesn't mean that you're not able to function either right so I think it all comes down to that but for me that's why I'm just focused on what I can control and what I can control right now is the music and making connections making friendships and whatever's supposed to happen after that is going to happen right that's how I look at it now
by friendship to ਗੱਲ ਕੀਤੀ ਆ you opened the company with one of your friends right Tonal Vision ਉਹਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ what's Tonal Vision about how did that come up and what's the concept about it
well Tonal Vision was something that we were talking about for a long time and she's a really good friend of mine her name is Justine she and I were talking about because we'd always listened to so much music right about EDM bahut sunde hain like that's one of my other favorite genres that I love to listen to and I listen to a lot of pop she actually encouraged me to start doing more English stuff. And then one day we were just kind of chilling out, you know, and she was like, yo, why don't we start something? Why don't we try something? Because we were always jamming to, like, she would make beats and we'd just be jamming to those beats, and we're both blind. And so I guess that's how the name came up, was Tonal Vision, because I always had this slogan that I see the world through music. And she always like saw the, you know, sort of when she would produce or write, like that was sort of the emotional side of how you could actually really see the world through music. So I feel like we had such a really, you know, fantastic message through it all, and that's how we started it. And we've done 5 songs so far, but you know, we're hoping to hopefully do some more stuff in the future. But you know, it's been a fun ride, honestly.
Cool.
Yeah.
And before I let you go, Paji, I wanna listen to that Do Gallan Kariye Pyar Diyan song. That like, you know, मैं अगर आती उस दिन सुनया नहीं सीगा ताड़े को, because I was like कि मैं हुन सुनना चाहूँगा.
Honestly, bro, I don't even know. That's the only line I know. That's the only line I know. Because Preet Paji, like Ashpreet Paji's dad would always keep playing it. He's like, you know, tu ga rahi.
चलो Gary संधू दा कोई और गाना.
Gary Paji da. I'm trying to think of a song, bro.
बहुत on the spot पाया.
Well, I can do like चंद दी चाननी कल्ले बैके चंद दी चाननी कल्ले बैके दो गल्लां करिए प्यार दियां आजा गल्लां करिए दो गल्लां करिए दो गल्लां करिए प्यार दियां आजा गल्लां करिए आजा गल्लां करिए
ਭਾਈ ਇਹਨੇ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਇਹਨੇ ਇੱਕ ਰਿਕੁਐਸਟ ਰੱਖੀ ਆ. ਮੇਰਾ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਮੇਰਾ ਫੇਵਰਟ ਗਾਣਾ ਅੰਕਲ ਦਾ ਲਿਖਿਆ ਹੋਇਆ, ਜਿਹੜਾ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਲਾਈਕ ਐਲਬਮ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸੀਗਾ, ਦਿਲੋਂ ਤੋਂ ਵੀ ਪਿਆਰੇ
ਸੀ ਪਾਪਾ.
ਯਾ ਭਾਈ ਉਹ ਗਾਣਾ ਦੈਟਸ ਲਾਈਕ ਜਾਨੀ ਉਹ ਗਾਣਾ ਨਾ ਮਤਲਬ ਮੇਰੇ ਡੈਡੀ ਨੇ ਇੰਨਾ ਕੁ ਸੁਣਿਆ ਨਾ ਉਹ ਗਾਣਾ, ਮੇਰੇ ਪਾਪਾ ਦਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਫੇਵਰਟ ਗਾਣਾ ਹੋਆ. ਤੇ ਉਹ ਅੰਕਲ ਨੇ ਲਿਖਿਆ ਤੇ ਭਾਈ ਨੇ ਗਾਇਆ. ਭਾਈ ਜਦੋਂ ਗਾਣਾ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕੀਤਾ ਸੀਗਾ ਆਪਣਾ ਗਾਇਆ ਸੀ, like what was your age at that time?
I was like 14, not even, like maybe 13.
So ਭਾਈ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲੀ ਐਲਬਮ ਦਾ ਉਹੀ ਗਾਣਾ ਸੀ, right?
Yeah.
And what was that called?
Albums
ਨਹੀਂ albums name.
The album was called Jaggi De Nakhre.
ਜੱਗੀ ਦੇ ਨਖਰੇ ਹਲੇ ਵੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਮਾਣ.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure, bro. दिलों तो भी ज़्यादा प्यारे से पापा दिलों तो भी ज़्यादा प्यारे से पापा विछोड़ा दे गए आज ने साढ़े पापा दिलों तो भी ज़्यादा ओ प्यारी यादा रह हुण जान गिया ओ प्यारी यादा रह हुण जान गिया कित्थों हुण पालांगे मिठियां बातां कित्थों हुण पालांगे मिठियां बातां दिलों तो भी ज़्यादा अज जगी दे पप्पा नूं मिला दो अज सारियां दे पप्पा नूं मिला दो मेरी जिंदगी विच रोशनी लया दो मेरी जिंदगी विच रोशनी लया दो दिलों तो भी ज्यादा प्यारे सी पापा प्यारे सी पापा
Thank you, buddy.
क्या बात है. Thank you so much, Vire.
Thank you so much, buddy.
I can't wait for y'all to hear this podcast. So please make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel Kalyug Talks for more podcasts and for more awesome conversations. Sat Sri Akal ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਰੱਬ ਰਾਖਾ.